Alright, I'm going to call to order tonight's select board meeting. Today is Monday, September 15th, 2025. It is 6:01. We are in the lower level of the Rutland Library and we are on Zoom. We are live streamed for local cable access and this is being recorded for YouTube posting. And before we get started, if we could stand for the pledge, please. Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I should also add, we are a 4-member board tonight. Member Seckman is not able to join, and currently Member Whiteman is on Zoom. She's on her way in, so she'll be here in person shortly. I'd like to start with the approval of Treasury Warrant 26-6 and 26-PW6. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second motion.
Any discussion on the warrants? Roll call. Alex?
Vote aye.
Matt's and I.
Aye.
And Ledger, aye. Thank you. And we have 2 sets of meeting minutes for the same evening. If we just do these separately, the agenda states September 2nd, but it's actually for September 3rd meeting, which is correct in the meeting minutes, but just wanted to point that out. So I will entertain a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for September 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call. Alex?
Vote aye.
Matt's and I.
Whiteman, aye.
And Ledger, aye. And then the second set is specific to the executive session that we had on that same evening. So I will entertain a motion to approve the September 3rd, 2025 executive session meeting minutes not to be released at this time.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, Alex?
Vote aye.
Matt's and I.
Whiteman, aye.
And Ledger, aye. Thank you. All right, that all set. We are going to move into the public hearing for tonight. This is a public hearing pursuant to MGL Chapter 85, Sections 3A and 3B. The Select Board is holding a public hearing to consider the renaming of Wachusett Road to Milo Way from Ridge Road to Princeton Town Line. So I will declare the public hearing open, and I will allow any of the public to comment.
I'd like to comment. My name is Tom Scannell. I represent the Zotterly Marital Trust that owns the land that is Wachusett Road runs through. I'm a lawyer at the law firm of Bowditch and Dewey. Bill Zotterly and Carla Zotterly, thank you, are here. I knew that. Carla Zotterly here with me. The trust and the Zotterlys don't oppose the renaming of the road. In fact, they've submitted a suggested name. What they do oppose is the procedure and the way it's been noticed and the way it's been proposed as being defective. The notice is sent pursuant to Chapter 85, Section 3A and 3B, and that pertains to roads that are open for public use but are not public ways. And that's simply incorrect in this circumstance. Wachusett Road is a public way. It's long been treated as a public way since it was accepted as a public way in 1898. It's never been discontinued as a public way. It's been treated as a public way when the trust recently proposed a subdivision, which the town approved. Prior minutes of the board in connection with discontinuance of maintenance of the road were as a public way for maintenance purposes, specifically recognized that the road was a public way. even that vote to, or that action to discontinue maintenance was signaled as a temporary discontinuance while the land was being developed. There's a lot more evidence that I could cite in terms of history as to how the road has been treated as a public way. There were votes in the past, or proposals in the past to discontinue it as a public way, which were tabled by the town, and no action taken on those. There's never been a formal vote to discontinue the road. So we think the notice itself of a public hearing under section 80, under chapter 85, sections 3A and 3B, is defective because Wachusett Road is not a public way, and we ask that the petition be withdrawn on that basis.
Anybody else to comment during the hearing?
I have one question. Robert Soderberg, Tree Ridge Road. Is it normal procedure to put the sign up before you vote on it? Because the sign has been on that road since July.
This was a little bit of a different case where we did not, meaning the town did not understand, or if you will, follow the correct process. We didn't realize that a public hearing had to be held for the renaming, and that it had to come before the board. So there was action taken out of order, if you will. So we are trying to rectify that and
Okay.
follow the appropriate process for,
Right, got ya.
to make sure we do it.
If I might be heard on that point, I think the town did have the correct process. Under section 3 of the same chapter, the town has the ability to change the name of a public way and act unilaterally in doing that, and then the remedy for anyone objecting is an appeal. So I think the town knew exactly what it was doing when it first renamed the road.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, Lauren Williams, 29 Overlook Road. Can I ask what the town's current official status of the road is? Is it considered public or is it considered a private way at this point?
There have been a lot of discussions on this, and at the last meeting where this, the road specifically was discussed, the board adopted the guidance provided by our town council, which is essentially that there is not enough evidence to show that it remains a public way, in which case it's essentially being deemed a private way until that can further be proven. And I would just like to remind that that's not the issue under discussion for the public hearing for today, it's strictly the name change.
Just like to address the point that this gentleman was making. On May 10th, we had a town meeting. And if this procedure under chapter 85 is not acceptable, is the other one acceptable, chapter 85, section 3 and 3B? Oh, no, I'm sorry, this would be, what's on your website, if you look at your website and look at name changes, it essentially says it has to be done by a town vote of 2/3 if the select board is not behind it. So in my mind, we already had that vote.
I don't believe that was acted on.
It was,
at that
was right, but if the argument is this is the way to go, then what's the alternative? I would assume you'd have to go back and do that town meeting again.
meeting. We'd wanna clarify but again, based on the town's position that it's currently a private way, it's still open for public use, even being a private way. So we're following the MGL per
I just wanted
statute for
to
the hearing.
clarify that point.
Any other public comment for the hearing? Anybody on Zoom that would like to speak? All right, then, if there's no other comment, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, roll call, Alex,
Vote aye.
Mattson, aye.
Whitman, I.
and Ledger I. And the board can now deliberate and discuss either moving forward or whatever the board would like to see with regards to the name change. Any discussion or comment?
I have a couple, well, at least one question, but if anybody else, I'm almost there. So if anybody else has anything, otherwise I will go, but I'm happy to wait if Paul or you or Alex have anything, Jen.
Go ahead, Leah. Start us off.
So I guess one of my questions is if the board adopts the name change, how does that impact all the ANRs that were approved or not on Wachusett Road legally as well as everything else?
Tamika.
So when the name change was initially initiated, sorry, that was a double use of the word. The name was updated in our permitting system, so all of the building permits thus far have been issued to Milo Way. It has also already been updated on the Mass GIS system, so it's reflective of that. So there's no legal implications associated with the name change.
Did you get all that, Leah?
Yeah, and I guess just even from the register, and this is I don't know enough about the registry of deeds process, but on that side of registering the ANRs, that's also not an issue.
I do not believe so. We have had other subdivisions where the names within the subdivisions have changed from what they were originally named. And those plans have not been re-recorded or updated with the registry of deeds, but the individual deeds for those properties will reflect Milo Way.
Okay. And obviously when those are, future lots are sold, those will be recorded with the updated.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I just and I'm not trying to nitpick. I just, if it's one thing if it's a subdivision, because that's a little bit more of the control of, it's a little bit of a different process than the ANR. So my question was specifically because they were.
I don't know if I may.
Existing A&Rs is what she
Yeah.
was gonna say.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't know that we can answer that and beyond what we've heard, Leah.
I don't think she's here. She probably lost service. Nope.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I'm trying to find parking. It's a full house.
It is.
Yeah, and like I said, that's just one of my thoughts. And I think that Harry had alluded to that also when he asked to have this as an agenda item originally. But I don't want to speak for him. But I vaguely remember a conversation around that. That's for the agenda topic.
And I mean, it's certainly something we can follow up on if
Sure.
there's anything
That question was not
necessary, but-
specifically asked prior to tonight's meeting, so it was not something that we had specifically sought the answer to.
Alright, so on that piece is unknown, but anything new would be reflective of the updated name change. Okay.
Yep.
And it's in the packets, but I didn't mention that we did, as was alluded to, we did get letters of recommendation from the Zotley family, as well as the Police Chief Monaco, as well as the Postal Service, that they were in favor of the name change as well. Any discussion, or is there? I don't know if we wanna give Leah a minute to make it in. She's,
I'm walking in. If
Okay.
anybody has any other questions, sorry.
any other questions or?
I guess my point would be that, if you don't mind, it's one, the name change is one thing, and I think there is general agreement on that, but then to use this procedure to make the name change, I think is what the problem is, because all indications, at least as far as we're concerned, we disagree with town council. And as all indications are that it remains a public way. So that's the problem we see with the procedure, not the name change itself.
So I think we would need to do something with, I mean, this is the town's position, so this is the reason why we're moving forward with this process this way.
I understand that, but that's the position.
Understood. Give Leah, there she is, alright.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right. There weren't really any other questions or discussion on
So
my end,
can I ask for clarification, if this process isn't followed, what would be the process that what would be the other process that should be followed? Because as far as I was aware, there were a few options for adopting names as well as changing names, just so that it's not like anybody can just
Right.
change road names at the
Right.
drop of the hat. So I guess what would be the other process then?
If we don't approve a change this evening, I think we would have to go back and work with Anita to
Change it back.
undo everything that's been done.
Yep.
It's not officially approved in the correct manner.
If I may, there's no town policy, it's Mass General Law.
Right.
That we're following, so there aren't like a number of options as far as,
It's
What
just
you
different
can do.
situations based on public
Correct,
way,
whether-
private way.
yes.
If you're, like, in this case, the 3B talks specifically about having, if the name that we're looking to change is so close to another name that's already for a road in town, that's one of the specific cases for this. So I think there's just some of the scenarios that would be handled differently, but. Any other questions, or is there anybody? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the renaming of Watches Road to Mile Away from Ridge Road to the Princeton Town Line.
Motion, is there a second?
Second motion.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? Alex?
I guess I would just add, can I
We've got,
discuss?
it's,
All right,
public hearing's been closed.
thank you.
Vote aye.
Whitman, no.
Mattson, aye.
Ledger I. We will move on to public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment?
I wasn't, but I will.
That's
I
entirely up to you.
emailed Tamika and you about the intersection of Wachusett and Route 68. I did get a reply from the DOT today. They're willing to come out here and sit down and view it. It's just, I've personally witnessed 3 accidents there. And I just feel that mailbox in front of that big red Colonial blocks the view for a couple seconds. And if people don't stop at stop signs anymore anyways. So those few seconds, I think, is what's causing the good majority of the accidents. And I'd really like the town to, take that seriously until someone gets killed. If they haven't already, it's very possible someone has. That's it.
Follow up on it, thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay. We will, is there anybody on Zoom that would like public comment? Public comment,
Yeah, Jim,
Name and address.
this is more of a question for the board.
name and address?
Tim Norwald, 149 Palmagussit, and I'm representing the planning board in this question. We've had a couple Zoom sessions with chat, and I didn't believe that was a policy of the town to allow chat. My understanding was you had to be recognized by the chairman and by raising your hand in Zoom, and chat shouldn't be used as part of the tool in the Zoom feature. I guess I'm looking for a yes, no, is that correct?
I don't know off the top of my head, but we can certainly
Okay,
follow up on the question.
I just didn't like the fact chat could just go on there without the chairman having any control of it, and that really bothered me.
It's a valid concern, so we can
Thanks.
certainly follow up
That's it.
on the,
Jen, I was piggyback on that, it might be worth looking at the remote participation policy because that's more allowable, it's expanded a lot now, and so what MGL allows in the town's policy.
we'll make sure we get the right details of what on that. Anybody else for public comment? All right, just a few quick member announcements and share updates. The first issue of the Wachusett Free Press was received by residents on September 9th. And this particular issue featured the dedication ceremony of the community grief garden that just opened behind the library, as well as the Citizens Police Academy. And the paper is gonna be mailed monthly at no cost to residents. The Public Safety Department is gonna be hosting the third annual trunk or treat for Halloween night. They are seeking participation from any local businesses or organizations, and of course, graciously accepting candy donations, which can be dropped off in the lobby of the police station. Just wanted to extend a sincere thank you to all of the staff, the committees, and the volunteers for everything for all of the fun activities and everything that was done over the summer in this town. Namely our recreation department, the Rutland Events Committee, the 4th of July Committee for putting on all of their events. The Rutland Historical Society is holding their first ever craft fair on October 25th at the Central Tree Middle School from 9 to 2 p.m. and is accepting vendors. So all the vendor entry fees will be going towards this year's 25th Festival of Tree Celebration. So any applications to register can be found on the Rutland Historical Society's Facebook page.
Can I just piggyback on that quick? Make sure that you're reaching out to I think either Ben Barakian or Sabrina Hylanoma for them, because there's been some scammers that through the Facebook.
Through the Facebook page, okay.
So just to make sure that people are really getting the legit.
Thank you for that. And the new flagpole on the Upper Common has been installed. And the plaque is currently in production, so we do anticipate holding a dedication ceremony for that sometime in October. Anybody else have any additional comments? All right. We will not have a town administrator update today. And if it's amenable to the board, I would like to move to address the request for temporary relocation for the dispatch admin offices, since we do have Deputy Chief Quinn and Director Moriarty here. If the board's amenable to taking that out of order. All right. Okay. You guys are up. So this is a request that we received from Director Moriarty. As we all know, we have the Regional Dispatch Center now. It's expanded and they are essentially looking to move the dispatch director and deputy director's administrative offices to temporarily relocate those to the Wood Studio to assist with offering Deputy Chief Quinn essentially a more private office to conduct business in. So we do have a proposal that was provided to us with the reasoning, the cost it would take to do that move, which is we have a funding source for support from Deputy Chief Quinn. Anything that either of you would like to add as far as the proposal?
I think the only thing I'd like to add is, I already spelled it out in the memo I gave you, but I've been here for almost 2 years, and right now my desk is in the middle of the police station. So I don't have the opportunity to have private conversations with people in my team. You make it really hard to, conduct business. So this move, would benefit me at least to be able to have those private conversations where I can't have them now. Be able to get, more private work done where I don't have people looking over my shoulder all day.
And do you have, I know that you're currently looking for a permanent location for the dispatch center. Do you have any idea of a time frame of how long you're thinking for this?
Yeah, so we're gonna be applying for grant funding, which that grant ends in March and will be awarded in late June of next year. Hopefully by that time we'll have a better idea of the potential of when we'll move out. It looks like as early as January of 27 is what we're looking at right now.
Okay.
Could be sooner, but that's what we're looking at right now.
I have a question. For the kind of work that would need to go into the building to make it a viable space for the offices and everything. Is that then able to be like enhancement of the space itself that then can be, when transitioned out, kind of upgraded space for town? Because I have heard kind of around that that no groups use it, and I think historical does use it and AgCom uses it. I know charter committee occasionally uses it. There are a number of groups that do it's not as busy as some of the others, but it's also a Zoom room, right? And so being able to have some upgrades to the building, to the space, that then doesn't necessarily take it entirely forever and always away from the community, I guess.
Yeah, any modifications would be left there as well, and any upgrades would all obviously be done as well to benefit the town.
But the intent for any modifications isn't to alter the structure or
Nope.
anything along
Not
those
to touch
lines,
anything,
it's
yeah.
it's more just
Technology and security.
and security and all those, okay.
And is that more preferred, sorry, is that more preferred than like the open office space in the annex, the conference room space in the annex, and or the basement of I mean, I know that town hall has recreation storage right now, the basement, and I know that the upper floors of town hall have accessibility concerns, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to maintain security with the Wood Studio than it is the town hall. As we all know, that there's keys to the building, and we're not sure who has keys. And that's a huge security risk on our end, and with state laws that we have with CGIS, we have to be confident that no one else has access to that area. So it'd have to be strictly prohibited due to our computers accessing the state database. As well as it'd be the less interruption to the town, because if we had to move to the basement of the town hall, the way our network is set up, there'd be a lot of downtime for town offices, because the whole fiber network would have to be re-networked to make it work in that building. Where the Wood Studio, all it has is Wi-Fi in there currently right now, there's no special network configurations that are in there, so it's the easiest, quickest way to get us into a space to allow the deputy to have an office.
And it's, if I understand correctly, kind of from the letter also, it's to allow the deputy to have office space as well as expand dispatch to be able to continue to bring on more communities, which was part of the whole point of the district, right?
Correct.
So,
Yes, and it'll also allow more room within the dispatch center in the case that if one of these communities starts losing their personnel sooner than later, we can allow a community or two to possibly come into our current center, but we're pretty much maxed out, so. But it'll allow 2 more desks to be installed.
and sorry you addressed the basement of town hall, that is this similar networking concerns with the annex or and security, and I know that those walls are paper thin, so there's no
Yes, same concerns.
Alex or Paul, any questions? Comments? I know we did reach out to AgCom, I don't see anybody here from AgCom, but I know we have Historical Commission, I think you posted for a meeting, did you wanna call your meeting and?
Yes, I'll call the meeting to order. It's about 6:30. We do have a quorum.
I'll allow the commission to provide any comment or feedback.
And we do have, I believe we have Lynn Turcott on Zoom?
I do see Lynn.
Yes, okay. Michelle?
Sure, so the Historical Commission is opposed to this. We do use the space monthly, and we have supplies stored there, and we also have historical artifacts like on the walls, and we're concerned about being out of it for an unlimited amount of time. There's kind of no deadline, we're talking at least a couple of years to be dislocated from a Zoom available space. And we are concerned about the historical integrity of the building with stuff being moved in and out of it. So we are officially as a board opposed to that. You know, there are other spaces in town, and I think like changing the locks on the annex, I don't think would be a heavy lift. If you're worried about security at the annex, I think there are ways to make it more secure. Or other spaces, even if it was in the basement of town hall, you could make that space more secure as well. So we feel that we should keep the wood studio preserved and available for the historical commission and other town entities that wanna use it as a public space.
My understanding is that we also have AgCom in there, and there have in the past been other organizations. Historical Society has used it in the past, as well as I believe Scouts may have used it at some point here and there. And there are other organizations that, from what I understand, are looking for space to meet, not just in Rutland, but even outside of town. Where a space like that might be amenable. And I think we all know that meeting space is getting to be at a real premium these days.
Tamika, do we have any, I know the Wood Studio is one of the online reservations. Do we have any idea of how many reservations have been made?
Yes, so at this time, the only groups that are using it is Historical Commission once per month and the AgCom once per month when they meet, but they don't consistently meet on a monthly basis. The Town Charter Committee has not met there in probably 6 to 8 months. They've started utilizing this space in the library. So outside of that, we have not had any other reservations for the Wood Studio in the last year.
Thank you. I with the history, I certainly understand. I would assume that with whatever information and documents and whatnot is stored there, that we would hopefully be able to find a suitable location that we could move that to, so we have it accessible. I hear the concern, I share it. I have the utmost faith and trust in Deputy Director Quinn and Director Moriarty that they would care for this space. As you pointed out, Peter, we're at a premium, and based on what Deputy Director Quinn and Director Moriarty are telling us, it's really the only option that provides not only the options for security, but also the privacy and confidentiality that they require. So I just wanted to put that.
May I ask, if I understand correctly, is it office space for you, Director Moriarty, and the Deputy Director? Like the words are coming. And so it's how much kind of other than the two of you do you anticipate people being in through there? I assume it would be employees. But I would like to hear, is it going to be like a revolving door of the public and everything, or is it much more?
No, just our employees as well as our district operations boards as well as the administrative boards, where we meet there as well. And that's currently where we meet right now, every month right now. So just besides that, no other public.
I would respectfully disagree that it should just be what's most convenient for the director, and I have nothing against the RECC, but if they're gonna modify space, you know, they could modify the other spaces that we've discussed to meet what their needs. There are ways to do that, I'm sure, and I personally feel very strongly that space should still be utilized be available for the town.
Any other questions or discussion from the board?
It's on the side, probably about 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago now, I drew up some plans for petitioning off the downstairs in the town hall so that we would have extra meeting space and also an area where the cable people could assemble their programs and send it over to the system over here. The reason is it's still a plan that, in my opinion, is still on file with the town that would allow for it, but the problem is that recreation is down there now and recreation has no place to go. So in other words, okay, so until we can make some moves and do some restructuring, I guess is the word I'll use. Right now, you know, that space is actually just occupied, so on and so forth, so.
Jen, if I may, I just wanted to add that the town clerk's office is currently working with DPW right now to establish a space for their files down there as well, because they have maxed out on space at the vault at Naquag Elementary School for their election supplies. So they are currently looking to utilize a portion of that space as well. I will say, from a staff perspective, as much as I respect the community using these buildings, I think sometimes the staff has felt that there's lack of support for the folks that work in these buildings day in and day out. And I think with the importance of what these particular departments do, I think sometimes we have to prioritize the service to the residents over potentially the use of the space for meetings, in my humble opinion, as an employee.
Michelle Van Reet, Charnock Hill Road, because I'm speaking as a, not historical commission, but as a member of the community. The community center building is underutilized with, so as far as I hear is the seniors have kind of, are using the entire building. Where years ago, the seniors and the rec, were able to share that space. I don't see any reason why rec can't use some of the rooms, even if it's just for storage, if they're not gonna do programming there. Cause I know that when I was on the board for the Council on Aging, we did have issues with people leaving it not as they found it. But certainly in terms of storage or space for stuff to be stashed, the community center is a community center, and it should be available for everybody in the community and not just for the senior center. So that's another space that I think we don't often look at, but it is a community center.
I wanna keep the comments on par. The request is to utilize the wood studio for the space, so I don't wanna open up to discussion as to alternates right now. That's, so if,
Say, didn't, this is for the board to know, wasn't there a plan in place less than 5 years ago to use the annex as an extension of the dispatch center? I distinctly remember that, because the planning board was gonna be forced to move out, so I'm curious of where that plan went and how it was executed.
I can speak about that.
Yeah.
It was an extension, it was, we were gonna take over that building, but now where we're at right now, where the abundance of communities that are looking to join us now, that space is no longer viable. We're currently looking at a 19,000 square foot building right now to move into, so.
And I think the intent was with the municipal services study that failed at town meeting, that a lot of that work would have provided an opportunity to either expand, move dispatch there, or expand, or was one of the potential options, so I guess I hear historical's concerns. My concern is just that it says temporary, but it's kind of open-ended, and I know you can't put a timeline on it. And I don't think any of us, I think a lot of us are sad that the district is likely moving out of Rutland but we don't have the space that you need. And I think we realize that. And so I guess if the board is leaning towards approving the temporary space, is there a way to kind of do these check marks, like in like July 1st, have an update as to kind of how the funding and everything is looking, and then by January, maybe by October or something, to check in to see if that January 27 deadline is realistic or not, just so we can not just have it this broad forever ongoing open-endedness.
Yeah.
And also, has there been any consideration, I know in the past that building has been cycled through as far as whether it was heated all winter or winterized or anything. The utilities are factored in as part of the district, correct?
That's correct,
Okay.
yes. Yep, and yes, I could provide quarterly updates.
Yeah, I just am trying to think, because some of my concern, and I think some of the residents that I've kind of heard some chatter from is a little bit just of this open-ended, and then we're gonna lose another building to something that we don't, the entire community can't potentially utilize.
Yeah, we're definitely working diligently to
And I know
move
that's,
into a new space sooner than later,
Yeah.
with the assistance of the state 911
Yeah.
department as well, so
It's not ideal for you guys either, so
No,
it's not
it's-
like you're looking to stay there.
no, I mean, it's mainly to
As much as you can.
provide deputy
Right.
chief here a private office to conduct business, and that's the main push for this. It's not the convenience for myself or my deputy. It pushes us a little bit further away from our personnel, but it allows the deputy chief a actual office that he well deserves. And the building is outgrown drastically.
I mean, it's been
And there's,
outgrown.
we're not planning on doing any modifications to the wood studio structural or anything like that, and this is the one that falls into, like I think I put on there, that it'll only cost us about $1,500. We don't have the money within our budgets to make drastic changes to other buildings, to make this work. This was the low cost option between both of our budgets to make this work.
I mean, on kind of, on the flip side, I'm hopeful that if the board goes this way, having that building kind of occupied more consistently will bring some life back to it, and then as we transition, as the district transitions out of it, potentially there's additional opportunities for other groups. I know years ago, Recreation had run a few like specific programs out of there, and everything also, so I think it ebbs and flows as far as being a viable, space.
Lindsay, name and address, please. Unless you're speaking for
Speaking for the
historical.
board.
Okay.
I appreciate the concern for the endpoint. That's just one of our biggest fears, is that we're gonna lose the place. A year turns into 3, turns into 5. So I appreciate working together for an endpoint that is reassuring. Reading the room, I can understand that we have to work together as a town. I can appreciate you guys saying that we wanna take care of the building and you guys saying that you'll take care of it. Is there something we can put into place if this does pass, instead of just saying, please take care of it? A specific plan for, are the artifacts staying on the wall? Are they coming down? Where are they going? A specific plan just to ensure that the building is taken care of in case there is any kind of unforeseen issue.
I'm sure we can work with the office to make sure that all of that is either accessible to you or moved to a location where it can be.
And
If if there's any specific concerns that the commission has that would like addressed, certainly message Tamika and we'll make sure that those are taken care of.
I wanted to ask if the commission had a list of the artifacts that are currently over there, whether it's in storage or on the walls or I know there's some stuff on the tables and everything also, some picture books and stuff. I don't need that answer right now, but I think if, I don't disagree that having a plan in place.
It might be nice even to work together if this does pass, cause we don't know what is gonna happen to the building. So if you guys could explain to us what's gonna happen, we could work together on a plan to make sure everything's respected.
I got no problem with that.
So I think, questions? I was gonna say that with the quarterly updates, or if anything big happens.
Outside of that
Outside of it.
notification, yep. I'm in the middle of that.
Would we do a reapproval at a certain point, or is there,
I mean, I think we can certainly
put some sort of hard
revisit it.
deadline, and then if it's we can address it together
I don't
again,
know, I don't know if we can put a hard deadline on it, because if something happens and they ended up getting extended,
well, we'd have to
we
reapprove it.
don't,
I think that's, speaking from a previous experience, when a board said that they would revisit something, it becomes dicey because the board can change
Right.
and then the will of the board changes and
Right.
then suddenly, if they have 3 months left and we give them a hard deadline, or 6 months left and we had given them a hard deadline and the new board's not amenable to a 6-month extension, that throws everything.
but I think that's where Leah's going with making sure that we get the updates so that if there's something that's gonna throw it off track, that can be addressed.
Yeah, and just
Necessary.
reiterate that it's temporary,
Right.
it's temporary relocation. and working with historical commission to ensure their
To take care of
artifacts
everything,
are preserved and
preserved and
building is
protected, yes.
I mean, but another board could just come in and ixnay the entire thing and move them out immediately, so I don't think it necessarily matters whether we're,
true.
I mean, they were asking for a specific date to be put in place, I mean, I believe that's what was being asked for. So for us to say, here's the date, the deadline that they have to be out by, and then that comes close and we have to, if they're, don't have an option, then we have to readdress it and reapprove it, but I mean, I believe they were asking specifically for a deadline, so I think something,
So would like a end of
I mean, that's what
January
I-
2027 deadline, like I don't wanna put, like I know there's
That's
a
the
lot of moving
earliest.
pieces.
That's the earliest. I don't see us there past, I'm hoping July of 27. But that just, again, that's all depends on the construction. But I don't see us being here past July of 27. We'll definitely be out by then. We have 5 communities waiting to come in and we need to get operational sooner than later.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
I-
not, we're not dragging feet and we're not trying to delay anything. We're trying to get out as soon as possible.
Right.
So.
I'm just curious, has any consideration been given for like a portable office such as like they use at construction sites?
So, if I may, I've looked into that option, and it's excess of $100,000. So, doesn't seem like an option to me.
We know our budgets don't support that. Right, any other discussion or I'll entertain a motion?
So are you,
I mean,
like a
well,
hard deadline?
I think it's good to put in a hard deadline so that there's an expectation, and then again, if we get close to that deadline and they need to postpone that because there's something in the works, and I think that gives, but I think putting a hard deadline
Alright, so
creates an expectation.
then I would be comfortable if the board is amenable to move to approve the temporary, highlight temporary relocation request of CMRECC Director Moriarty as presented with and working in consultation with the Historic Commission for relocation of artifacts and building preservation and providing the select board quarterly updates at minimum of progress to be in effect until such time that to be in effect until the end of July 2027 or such time that the dispatch center is moved to a permanent location. Is that, I mean, I know it doesn't appease historical as far as they're going in, but I'm trying to.
A motion, is there a second?
May I just make a thought or suggestion? If we're including an end date, should we include language that allows them to extend it? Because I can't remember if it was Alex or Leah that made the point that if it's a different board and they're not done, could then that board say, now you guys have to get out and they don't have anywhere to go?
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
that was Alex's point, is even
Well,
if we do,
yeah.
they can still do that and say, you need to find
Okay.
And any board could come in
Yeah.
and just say, I mean, if it's a whole, well, 2 or
Yeah.
3 more people that disagree, they could just they just say get out, right? I
So-
mean, they could
Okay.
make any change they want.
Yeah,
I mean, we could, I would, because I also had in to be until until such time that the dispatch center is moved to a permanent location. So I think that language is, although
it keeps it a little open-ended.
it keeps it a little bit open-ended, and because we're asking for quarterly updates, I
Right.
think that also, if we want it in the motion, I can put it in the motion, but I think also with meeting minutes, the intent of quarterly updates and working with everybody.
Alright, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second the motion.
Motion and a second, any further discussion by the board? Alright, roll call, Alex,
Mo and I.
Whitman, I.
Matt's and I.
Ledger I. Thank you,
Thank you for that.
we will be in touch and talk through logistics and what
Yeah.
we would like to do for the historical commission?
Tell them to remove the stuff out of the closet.
Oh, okay. I'll write a note. Thank you both for making the time to come in.
Thank you for the.
All right, thank you.
So if we do this, would there be, do they pay rent for the space that they use in, because it's regional, right? So would there be a rental agreement for additional space that's being used in the town? So that all of the other towns are also,
I'd have to go back
Having
and
to
look
pay
at
for
the
the
agreement,
space?
but I think it's because it's kind of a transition period from
Yeah.
FY 26 to 27 where the full district arrangement, if you will, takes over. So I think there's a little bit of a transition. I don't know the specifics offhand.
At minimum, they're
For
paying
that.
utilities.
Yeah.
They said at minimum, they're paying utilities.
Yeah.
But
if they're asking for more space, shouldn't they be paying for more space?
we have to look at
We have to look at the agreement.
Because not only is it fiscal years, but it's also transitioning from a regional to a district, which is totally self-governed everything. And there's transition language in there, so.
But I would think that, I would think that that should be addressed at some point, somehow, because,
We'll take that note and we'll follow up.
thank you.
And did the historical commission I don't know if you wanna close your meeting or if you wanna keep it open?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. We're gonna adjourn? Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, and Lynn's on there too.
She had said it in the chat that she was unable to unmute those, so.
Okay.
What time is it?
It is 53.
Okay.
All right, thank you for attending as well and providing your feedback. All right, so we'll go back up to our regular agenda, moving into appointments and resignations. We have a couple. The first one on the agenda is to consider the letter of interest to appoint Lauren Williams to the planning board associate member position. The planning board, I believe, did meet and is recommending the appointment of Lauren. And let's see, this is a bylaw requires joint appointment, so Norm, do you wanna open your?
Call to order the September 15th meeting of the planning board.
Thank you. Is there anything that you wanted to add as far as the appointment?
So we made our recommendation.
The recommendation, okay.
I believe it was unanimous.
And it wasn't too long ago that you were here and you were talking through we had the same appointment process. Thank you for providing your letter. Is there anything the board would like to ask Lauren?
My questions, I think, were answered a few months ago. So thank you for putting in again for the position, and I appreciate kind of the willingness to get involved, stay involved, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I will entertain.
Move to appoint Lauren Williams to serve as the associate planning board member for a term of 3 years.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All right, roll call, Alex?
Would I?
Whitman, aye.
That's an
And Ledger, aye. Thank you very much. And, do we have to, do we have to
We
do,
need to do the roll call as well.
is it like a whole or
Yes.
it's separate? Okay,
No, it's a whole thing.
okay, all right, I will let you.
Okay, Dick,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Keith,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Anderson, aye.
Thank you. Right, any other action that we need to take?
Just stop
Alright,
into the clerk's office to get sworn in and,
Cool. Thank you. Welcome aboard. All right, and then the second one we have is to appoint Keith Tuttle to serve as the planning board representative for the charter committee. So I think, did the planning board also meet and make the recommendation for Keith as well? Okay, anything else to add for that? Okay. Any questions from the board? Or
No,
is there?
I just wanted to say thank you for putting someone forward, cause we haven't been super busy with charter committee, but there's been a few questions And so we're looking to get back into the swing of things after vacations, I think later this month, so thank you for.
Thank you.
Alright, there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to appoint Keith Tuttle to serve as the planning board representative to the chart committee until the end of the committee's charge.
Second.
Oh, Paul can have it.
Alright, any other discussion? Alright, Alex,
Vote aye.
Second, I-
Matt's and I.
and Ledger I. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think you have to be sworn in for that one also.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
Every committee, subcommittee you need to be
Okay.
sworn in for, so.
Separately fine.
Meet with Anita, yes.
Alright, thank you very much. Alright, moving into old business. We have the FY 27 budget calendar, so this was discussed at our last meeting, there was quite a bit of feedback, so hopefully we've gone through and made all of the requested modifications. But just wanted to bring that back before the board for review and hopefully some final approval. Everybody had a chance to take a look at it. I think the notable changes were moving the finance director presentation of the forecast and the revenues to January. I think we did keep the November 10th there. I think Alex, you had mentioned just having an idea at that point, even though it's only 3 months, but just having that information made available. And we also moved up all of the budget hearings to January and February. And we did make the finance director and the CIPC capital plan, essentially, it's not flagged on here as a budget hearing, but the first one of those meetings to take place. And I think those were the majority of the,
Yeah, we also removed I think we were calling it the budget summit
yes.
on October 6th, so we removed that too.
Any questions or anything that we missed or would like to see added?
The only thing I can, just wanna kind of bring up is, does any of this change with recent, staff changes? Do we have to readdress the expectations of departments getting things to us or things getting compiled? I just wanna make sure that we're being honest with the deliverable.
I
without
don't think
TA.
so. I
Okay.
think, yeah, the departments were all pretty independent as far as doing their budgets. So I wouldn't anticipate any change as far as getting those in for at least the November 3rd for the.
But I think it's getting it together into a full budget to us.
I think the finance director can, and then
Okay.
based on however our conversation
Mhm.
transpires, but I mean, we have a finance director and she has a team, so she can work with the finance team and pull in
Yep.
department heads and stuff as needed.
Mhm.
I really think kind of the budget stuff and a lot of stuff is, I would say TA and finance director, like we need to go to our department heads and
Yes.
and really push our department heads to do the work that we're paying them for, and I think our finance director is quite capable of this. She was involved in helping us with the calendar at the last meeting, just so it's not.
See you, okay.
Any other concerns, questions? If the board is comfortable, I'll entertain a motion to approve the FY 2027 budget calendar as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Alright, roll call, Alex
Vote aye.
I'm gonna,
Matt's and I.
and Ledger I.
and sorry, Jen, I know that I think the budget guidance letter went out last week, I think.
Tuesday?
I can't
Yeah,
remember.
at some point Monday.
I was like, I can't remember, but has there been any feedback from department heads or anything about any of that?
Not that I have heard yet.
Okay.
I know I heard from Donna that she had just completed the budget spreadsheets. But we're still working to get the budget increase request form, ideally in Excel spreadsheet, hopefully in that same
That she can
sheet
then,
that it's easy to see each one and So we're still working on that, but.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Thank
no,
you.
I haven't heard,
No,
and it doesn't
there
sound like
hasn't been
anything's
any.
come to the office either as far as the guidance, so.
Thank you.
We'll certainly share if anything does come up. Okay, the proposed town meeting article, this was, on our meeting agenda last week. This is regarding, the information that Donna had sent to us regarding, essentially updating or making the adjustments for the FY '26 budget for special town meeting. Unfortunately, Donna is not able to be here to answer any questions, so I think for tonight, you know, certainly if there's any questions that the board would like to ask or have addressed, that we can follow up with Donna on as far as what she's proposed. But I think tonight what we'd like to at least do is get a board agreement on the formatting of the article. If we are looking to do a single article to adjust the FY '26 budget similar to what we did last year at the special town meeting, or if we're looking to have individual line items where we need to reach out to the department heads for that information so that we can get the right number of articles going. So I don't know if the board has any specific thoughts on one way or the other.
I guess this is just a kind of impulse to start the line of conversation. I lean more towards kind of the not reaching out to the departments specifically for budget for line items, because I think that opens a can of worms and everybody's gonna want a whole lot, and we're working on the 27 for justification, and so with the intent to restore to the fiscal year 26 without any essentially without departmental justification, if there's anything above and beyond that departments really feel that they need, then I think that could be a conversation. But I think initially, I think it should just kind of restore to the fiscal year 26.
You mean 25?
Sorry, yeah, here it says to restore the 26 budget, sorry, utilizing, yes.
Well, right, it's FY '26. We're looking to fill in the cuts that were made to this fiscal year's
Correct.
budget. So
Right.
FY '26, not
Okay.
25.
Okay, but are you saying to restore that to the
Well,
FY '25 funding?
No, I think just, I think I was misreading it, but I think to restore it to as best we can with the estimated revenues as Donna had presented last meeting, I think.
Yep.
Rather than go to the department heads and ask, because per our financial policies, department heads have the autonomy with TA and finance director approval to kind of move funds within their overall budget.
Yep.
And so I feel like it could become I would rather the department heads are focusing on 27 and the justifications for everything, than spend a whole lot of time fighting for everything for 26. And if there's something big, then that can be an additional potential ask.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, I also would like to do what we can to restore the budget line items that have been cut. My concern is with using the highest estimated revenues. We got into trouble a little bit last year when we used those, so I'd like to be conservative. And that's certainly something that we can have more discussion on, hopefully with Donna being able to attend a future meeting. But I don't necessarily disagree. I just would like to make sure that what portion we feel we're comfortable with restoring will meet the needs of those departments to cover the necessities, making sure that the utilities can get paid and whatnot, so.
I agree with you, and that's, I mean, I think FinCom and we pushed Donna a little bit saying like, are you comfortable with these estimated revenue numbers? And I think she said like, they're high, but she felt that they were attainable. I think from the conversation, but so I don't disagree with that kind of question and concern. And also I just wanna reiterate that I think the department heads need to understand that they have that autonomy now to move within line items within their own operating budget, right? With approval from the town administrator and finance director, that it's not every single line item transfer needs to be. So if, there's an overage somewhere in salary because they haven't been able to fill a position or something, they can put in a request to move that somewhere else or whatever. And I forget off the top of my head how those numbers look, but like I said, I just feel, I guess to your point, if Donna's comfortable with those estimated revenues, that I think would be my preferred, and then if not, supplementing or utilizing free cash, I guess.
If I may, so some of the feedback that our office has heard from the department heads is that, they appreciated the work that Donna had put in on, the suggested revisions, but, they were not actively a part of discussing those. So if we could just make sure that we're transparent with the department heads about what exactly in their budget it's gonna restore, because there were some concerns last year that some folks didn't realize what was happening until it got to the town meeting floor. So just to make sure that the departments are on the same page with what we're gonna bring forward to town meeting. That's just the feedback that we've heard.
And did we have the discussion as far as the revenue estimates versus just funding with free cash?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on that. I don't think we ever came up with I was gonna say that, I think I'm pretty well against increasing estimated revenues to cover expenses. Or I should say, to increase unknown estimated revenues to cover known expenses. That just is a recipe for disaster, as you've already said. I think that if we want to put forward a funding mechanism to fund some of the needs in the departments, it'll get messy. But in my opinion, the best way to go about it is in two articles, one being a required line, i.e. if for like utilities, like the library has mentioned that their utilities, they're gonna go over, no matter what they do, they're gonna have to close because, meetings can happen. So I things like that are gonna cause large disruptions, I think are very well needed, and I don't know how to separate out the kind of wanted things that department heads might have, and maybe there are no wanted, it's just here's what we need, and maybe that's, it becomes one article, but
Well, I know we've, in the past, we've tried to stay away from funding. I would like to have these things at special town meeting. My opinion is that we should really be limiting it to what do we need to ensure that the buildings can stay open and operate.
yeah.
Continuity of service,
So if
not
that's,
expansion
if
of
that's all we're
service or-
asking for, then that's one article, and I
we-
think that not going to the departments to see what they need is a mistake
I
in my
think we need
opinion.
some feedback to review that what's being proposed will meet their needs for their necessities to operate
Through
the
the
rest
end
of
of
the
the year.
fiscal year. And if not, we need to have that feedback so that we can make adjustments. I would really like to not go over, so I really would like to see, is this a number too high, is it too low?
And I think also, seeing, depending how free cash ends up playing out with everything, but knowing that we may go into May with, some available free cash, that hopefully isn't just put at the budget, the operating budget, that if there are any unexpected, I think sometimes we budget as, healthy communities should for kind of some unexpected things, but in this kind of correction, I wouldn't say we're budgeting for those unexpected, it's really the continuity of
Yes.
service, and any unexpecteds then can be addressed in May.
Yep.
At the latest, and depending on where where things are.
I agree with that.
So Jen, if I may, from a staff standpoint, would it be appropriate for the board to provide guidance tonight to say, you know, we would be looking at free cash requests that help to restore your operational budget. We would like you to refrain from using free cash for anything over and above, and then direct those department heads to work with Donna to make sure that those, you know, amounts are correct, cause the nice thing is we still have time to work all of that out. The biggest thing is just us being able to give direction to the department heads tomorrow so that they can get everything they need submitted for the warrant, and then once we have that, then we can go back and finalize the numbers, but we just have to know how we're gonna structure it, and the department heads have to know what to submit.
Yep, and I'm, my opinion is that yes, we can take Donna's, her outline here as a starting point and ask for input, and to the discussion, the guidance should be just to get you through operating at the end of the fiscal year. I don't even know if we should say free cash versus, you know, just what monetary do you
Yeah.
need? Because we haven't necessarily agreed on how we're gonna come up with that yet, to get their feedback and up or down, and, you know, please don't take this as an opportunity to say you need this. We would like an accounting for what you need it for to stay operating is my particular opinion. So I don't know if
Yeah, I mean, the town people will expect that at town meeting as well, so we need to have it.
And then I think a little bit seeing where those numbers come from, whether we do some with utilizing estimated revenues on some of the ones that Donna may feel very confident on, and then utilizing the rest for free cash, or just keeping, I mean, the other consideration, if we increase estimated revenues, that's gonna be less free cash next year, right? Or potentially less free cash next year, so that's, you know, that balance there, so.
Oh, if you're saying if we increase estimated revenues, it'll be less free cash from.
There could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we
Less
don't
than
use the
buffer.
estimated revenues, then it becomes free cash in the following. So it's not like we're hurting ourselves by not using I mean, I think the risk of using estimated is far greater than the reward of using estimated by a lot.
Paul, do you have any thoughts? Anything you wanna add?
Well, I've been listening to all of this and kind of saying to myself, yeah, okay, this is pretty much in line with what I've gathered for thinking, so, you know, yeah, basically, I think we're traveling the right road at this moment.
Okay. Alright, so it sounds like the board is amenable to utilizing Donna's as a starting point to seek feedback from the department heads. Again, just with the guidance, just to get you operating, no extras through FY '26.
Just to clarify, Alex had brought up potentially doing it as two separate articles. Given that we're not doing extras, would it just be
I
one
don't,
article?
I think, yeah, it sounds
Okay.
like,
Well, the only
that's-
reason I would consider it as two is if there was some estimated, because we know that there's going, on all sides, there's going to be some narrative that you're under budgeting, you need to you're not over budget, but be more realistic with your budget.
Yep.
And then there's also gonna be the narrative that you have the free cash, and so is there ways to potentially look at both or not? I don't wanna necessarily like say, yes, we're only doing one, I kinda wanna see the
Can
numbers.
they not be utilized in in the same
I don't know,
article? Or
cause it's
do they
different
need to
funding
be-
sources, so I think it has to
Okay.
be separate articles, I think, I don't know for sure.
So last year we actually did it as a combined article, but we used a table to say like this was coming from here, this was
This is
coming
from the
from
revenue.
here, yeah.
So
So
maybe
we have a
that's-
model
yeah,
to
so
utilize that,
Yeah,
just
we
to make
can
it clear.
see how that goes, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay. Alright,
At
so.
the very least, we can always do a placeholder article for like a just in case, you know, we have the flexibility with that, before we finalize it, so that's fine. And I apologize, I don't mean to interject on your discussion, I just wanted to make sure we had clear direction for the department
Yeah.
head since the warrant's only open.
I mean, personally, it makes, for me, it's easier if it's all in a single article, as long as it's clearly outlined what's coming from where.
Mhm.
I think we can do that, I think last year's was a good model.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
you know, what are the details and what we're moving around, so.
Okay.
Do you want a motion as far as the guidance?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think if you guys are okay with that, that's
It
what
sounds like the
we'll
board's in
share
agreement with
staff.
that, to
And I
get
think
feedback.
I would like to empower Donna to like have those relationships with the department heads really. So I think if she can kind of be the driver of that, as like I said, as finance director and with
Absolutely. Yep, so we'll have Donna work with the department heads and hopefully for our next meeting.
Okay.
We'll have an update that she can attend let us know what the outcome of that was.
Sounds like a plan.
Does that sound agreeable to
Yeah.
everybody?
And it's really, again, just, I know it's been reiterated, but
Yeah.
just to keep us operational till the.
Yes, just operational, no extras. Okay, any other discussion on the FY '26 budget adjustments? Okay. Alright, then moving back into new business, we have the interim town administrator. I'm sure everybody is aware at this point, but we did receive David's resignation as interim town administrator. That was received this morning and has been certified by the town clerk's office. So we need to formally vote to accept the resignation, and once we do that, we can discuss next steps. Any questions?
I need to say, I was a little frustrated that I had started hearing from residents well before the board got any formal communication, that the interim had resigned,
I think that was a result of unfortunately the inactive email that was initially used, and how it's the same. I unfortunately I was not made aware of it outside of that as well. It was happenstance. I was CC'd on something else that discussed it, so I share the frustration. Unfortunately, as soon as I was made aware of it and confirmed with David himself, got the information we needed and forwarded to the board as soon as it was made available.
So maybe we need to look at our policies and procedures and who has access to things then, if there's some more sensitive stuff that's potentially getting out before it's confirmed. I would make a motion to accept the resignation of the acting town administrator David Dimash as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Alex?
Whitman, aye.
That's an aye.
And Ledger I. So as far as next steps, it is my personal opinion that we do not have the time or the funding to do anything with regards to seeking an outside assistance with hiring an outside interim town administrator. I think to ensure that business continues moving, we look internally for a candidate that would be able to get us through the next couple of weeks, where hopefully we're still continuing with the town administrator search, permanent town administrator search office, position. I have had a meeting or a discussion with Chief Knipe, who has previously served as an acting town administrator in the past. He's familiar with, obviously, town operations and with the past experience, so it is, and he is willing to, at this point, take on the role of acting TA if it is the will of the board. I discussed with him possibly just, at this point, just through the end of David's existing contract date, which was November 30th. Anything beyond that can certainly be discussed or changed or modified. But I am going to make a motion to appoint Fire Chief Seth Knipe as acting town administrator while we continue our town administrator search.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Just to make sure it was discussed, was this discussed at any point with other department heads? Did we talk to anyone else, do you know?
I'm aware of.
Speak to Tamika.
The time is not on our side.
It's not.
I don't think it's smart to wait 2 weeks to reconvene.
What I would be looking for today, again, based on the will of the board, would be to appoint Chief Knipe to acting TA and then work on an agreement with him as far as if there's what compensation. He did indicate to me that he was willing to do it for no compensation. I don't know that that's necessarily the right path, it's something we should certainly bring up, but I think it would be worthwhile having an agreement in place if he's, if the vote goes that way this evening.
Yeah, he made the same remark in discussion with me too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm against doing it for no compensation, as, you know, we are a town, it's a business, there should be nobody doing us favors like that. I mean, I get that there's a lot of things that are done through voluntary actions, but that's not right for us to expect. And there's no doubt that there's a significant amount of work that needs to be done from that position, so for anyone to expect that to be done for no compensation is not right of us. I also think there's a lot of risk and liability in holding that position, even if it's an interim, so to not to compensate for risk and liability is again not right. So we definitely need to work on some sort of agreement and make sure it's in place. I am definitely in favor of not going out and finding another interim at this point, cause I don't think that the time makes sense. You know, we already have an ad out for a full-time administrator, town administrator. For us to look for an interim, you know, maybe we can get somebody in 2 weeks to a month, but then that gives maybe a month for them to sit until we have hopefully interviews, so.
And getting a new person up
It
to
really,
speed.
yeah, it really doesn't make any sense, for the time being. I
Do you have any thoughts?
I kind of share a lot of Alex's thoughts that we don't have time on our side. It's a shame that it wasn't put out to other department heads to see if there was any interest from other department heads. But we also are in the midst of a search for a full-time administrator, and so we want to keep moving forward with that. And so you know, my concerns still are that we don't have an MCPPO, but I know Tamika has received, I'm acknowledging that Tamika has received her MCPPO since then. That was one of my concerns previously, so that's.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any way to have conversations with other department heads before we decide that, but I in the essence of time, I don't really see there being. Did any other department head reach out in interest? I suppose is probably, do we have?
If I may, in my personal conversations, there were no other department heads that were interested, and the ones that I spoke to casually as a coworker indicated their support of Chief Knight. As somebody that's working directly in that office, I can tell you that we're not doing well and really can't go 2 weeks without somebody there to support me, because I'm going under. So
Yeah.
there's only so much I can do by myself.
I wouldn't wanna leave it 2 weeks either. Okay.
Any other discussion? Motion and a second. Roll call, Alex?
Vote aye.
Wait, bye.
Matt's and I.
Ledger, aye. Thank you, I appreciate it. So I think this is not where anybody saw this going at this point, but I appreciate everyone's willingness to adjust so that we can continue operating and move forward. Okay, and then we'll work on as far as an agreement, is the board amenable to drafting something along the lines of, I think, did we do one before?
Yeah, so we have a sample from when Chief Monaco was the acting TA a few years ago, so we can pull up that agreement and, use that as our template
As a starting
and
point?
then run it by town council and then potentially present it to the board at the next meeting,
Okay.
if you're comfortable with that.
Is that agreeable to the board?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then we'll make sure that that gets on for the next one.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, special town meeting. We need to call special town meeting for right now, which is currently on the books for November 20th. Is there any,
I move to call the special town meeting for Thursday, November 20th at 6 p.m. at Glenwood Elementary School and to open the warrant with a closing date of September 19th at 12 noon.
Second.
motion and a second, any discussion? Alex?
What I?
Women, I
Mattson, aye.
Ledger I. And we have the calendar, so that's all set. All right, moving into the town planner position. I don't know how much detail we wanna get into with this tonight, knowing the recent developments. The reason that I had put this on the agenda was to essentially have the board review and discuss the job description for the town planner, knowing that right now we have the interim planner. I thought it was as well as, we had had discussions in the past with an interim. Do we wanna hold off on hiring more permanent staff until we have a permanent TA in place? So that they would have be able to participate in the hiring of the staff that would be working for them. But I also thought it would be a good opportunity to take a look at the, it is in the packets, right?
It is, yes.
I asked Tamika to print the job description that was utilized for the previous town planner, just to review and go over it and see if we still felt that this was an accurate job description, if it needed to be modified in any way based on what the needs of the town are. I did reach out to Norm to see if we wanted to have a joint discussion. Norm indicated he'd like to have the board to have a discussion first, and then he would bring the results of that back to the planning board for discussion. Is that correct? So again, given the developments of recent, I don't know if the board would like to hold off. I know this was just put in the packets, so I don't think there's been a lot of time to review this. We can certainly postpone any discussion for a future meeting if the boards would prefer that.
I would like to look more in depth at
Yeah.
the position, cause I believe the original intent was a big, obviously on the planning side, but also community development side and economic development, and those pieces, I think since the RDIC, the Heights property was purchased, I don't think that there's been as much of a push on that side of things, so I would like to look through this just to see if there's a way to do that, and even think, is there a way to potentially broaden it to more of kind of land use in general, whether there's a conservation piece or something also, just to, cause I realize that the planner work comes and goes, and there's periods where there's a whole lot going on, and then there's periods where there's still a lot going on, but maybe not as much. And so to make sure that we're hiring a multifaceted individuals that are willing and capable of doing a few different kind of, still within the broad umbrella. And as far as hiring any full-time staff, especially department head level, I appreciate Delia's willingness to do it as an interim. I really would like to see the full-time TA hire the department heads for which he or she is going to be managing. And so if vacancies arise, I realize that for our current interim planner, it's an extended period. And I appreciate her willingness to stay on currently. I don't know if any of that conversation stemmed from any of that, but I just wanted, for me personally, that's my
No, I don't disagree, I think this, my thoughts on the planner are, a lot of what you just shared, Leah, I feel like what's in this job description, specifically the community development functions, have not been occurring. So outside of those not happening, my other concern is if we're hiring somebody based on this job description and providing a salary based on this job description, but that is not being done. That's a lot of money that we're paying somebody for a role that's not being done. So that's another reason why if I wanna make sure that everybody is in agreement with what we feel the town needs and hiring somebody that meets those qualifications, and then to your point, having a permanent TA hire that person, knowing, you know, that they are going to be the ones that would need to hold them accountable to what the job description entails for which they were hired, so. But yeah, if I mean, certainly Paul or Alex, if you have any comments, but I'm certainly amenable to providing some more time to review further. I do recognize that the job description was only provided today, that's my fault for not thinking to add it before.
Job description and salary have got to be thought of and discussed, because we lost one to another town because of salary differences, okay? So, you know, these are the things that you've kind of got to take into consideration as well when you start to look at these people.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned one thing about like holding off on hiring to make sure that we're getting, that the TA is, you know, that we hire would be able to bring in the people that they see fit. I think that in general, if we can do that, that's fine, but I think we need to be careful not to go very far on that. If there's positions that are needed, then we have to take the action that we have to take, and we'll have to deal with that when it comes. I think if the interim is working in this position and it's going fine and they're amenable to staying, and we can hold off until that time, and the planning board and everyone is okay with that, then it's fine, but I just don't wanna put that as the standard. I wanna make sure that we're doing operations as needed and not holding off because we're waiting for this.
And we definitely are, and I know there's various other roles that we are interviewing and hiring for, but to Leah's point, you know, the department head level, I think which is why I wanted to bring it before the board.
Yeah.
You know, if the board is comfortable with, you know, an interim TA hiring a permanent town planner, then that's, you know, the will of the board, but I just wanted to make sure the board had that decision and input on that, so, okay. Alright, so we'll put this for another future meeting to review the job description and
if I could just, I know Delia is our interim town planner right now. Has she been able to look at the job description and kind of provide any feedback from as a person who has planning experience and is currently in the role? Cause I would assume if the board were looking to hire her or anyone on that's acting as an interim, but the job description changes, that's an additional conversation, right? And so.
Yeah, it was my understanding that the permanent position would still be treated as such, and if Delia was interested in staying, she would apply for it. That we would reopen the pool to have however many candidates would be interested in that.
Okay.
And I don't believe that there was actually an official job description with the interim planner position. It was just an agreement.
Correct.
That was put in place, so. Okay. Alright, so we'll bring that forward.
Tim's got a question.
I don't know if you wanna acknowledge Tim or not.
It was just a question, it was in you guys' packet. I've personally never seen the description for the town planner, and it wasn't in the packet, so is there any way that could be forwarded to Norm and he could distribute it to?
Yeah, I apologize. I assumed the planning board had the job description for
Never
the town
seen it.
planner.
Just ask them the same thing.
Oh,
Never seen
okay. Yes, I can absolutely send that to you guys
Thanks.
tomorrow, no
That's all I
problem.
need, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that? Alright, next item for liquor licenses. This is for the board to consider adopting MGL Essentially, it would be a mechanism that would allow wine and malt licenses to convert their licenses to all beverages without having to go through the entire licensing process again. It's my understanding that this would not impact the number of liquor licenses or be based on.
That's correct. So, we got the legislation, the change in legislation, from KP Law and the ABCC, so I had attended a webinar with them to better understand it. And essentially, it only applies to on-premise vendors. So right now, the only business that would be eligible to do this is still Four Corners. So any on-premise vendor that currently has a wine and malt license can transition to an all beverage license without having to reapply with the ABCC and go through that process again of a public hearing and things like that. But the key thing is that it would not impact our quota. So in other words, if they transition to an all beverage license, that doesn't mean we then lose an all beverage license for a potential other vendor. The benefit to it is that it could potentially help some other small businesses if they do come into town, and we don't have something available in the quota for them. This would allow them to do that. It would have to be accepted at town meeting. So the question tonight is if the board is amenable to putting it on the warrant. I also did reach out to town council. They had provided some guidance as well and basically said that's kind of the short and sweet of it. And just to see if you would like to take it to town meeting.
Okay.
Questions from the board?
So if I understand correctly, a business could, and I don't have our quota numbers in front of me, I don't remember them off the top of my head.
Yeah, and they haven't updated them recently either.
And so if we didn't have an on-premise all beverage license available, a business could come in with beer and malt only, and then once they have that, they could transition to an all. So even though based on the number, would that then free up another malt?
Yes, it would.
So
because then
essentially that all thing could continue to grow
correct.
above our quota.
Yes, because once they transfer over, then that wine and malt is now available. I will say, when I looked the other day, we have a lot of on-premise, I think it's like 8 on-premise all beverages. So it's really, at this time, it's not a big need. It would really be more for if we grew in the future. So there's nothing emergent about it. It was just new legislation that came out that we thought we would bring to your attention.
Right, I mean, I'm in support of kind of bringing it before town meeting, I just wanted to make sure I understood it correctly. And this might be some of my confusion, so are we limited, is our current limitation on retail sales for all? Is that why the marketplace is doing the seasonal versus
Yes,
okay,
so
there's no option, there was nothing in legislation to allow
no.
that circumstance?
No, because they're separate categories for on-premise versus off-premise. So we are maxed out for off-premise because we have quite a few liquor stores in town. So the seasonal license was their only way to kind of, I don't want to say get around it, but to give them additional options. So unfortunately, this would only help an on-premise business. So when I went through our list of businesses, still Four Corners is the only one that's on-premise that has a wine and malt. All of our other on-premise already have an all alcohol license, yeah.
Thank you. Like I said, I personally am in support of bringing it forward to town meeting and seeing how it goes. I just wanted to make sure I had clarity as to what it looked like.
Yeah, I am too.
Paul, any?
I don't have a problem with what I've read so far here, no.
So,
Okay,
do
then
you
we'll put
want,
a
do you
pla-
want a motion or just that
No,
we're a placeholder?
I don't think so, because you guys will make the motion when it's actually on the warrant, so if you are comfortable with that, I'll just put it as a placeholder.
It sounds like the board is
That's-
amenable to that.
Okay.
That was my interpretation of it as well. But, yeah.
Okay. Alright. Alright, moving on. The national opioid settlements. This is something that has come before us before. We have received opioid settlements in prior years or over the last few years. There are some receiving new funds with regards to opioid settlements. So David had mentioned, I think he was just looking to review the two that were coming before the board. one of them, the due date for it is September 30th, and I think his, as acting or interim TA, he wasn't necessarily comfortable signing the settlements. So Tamika, I don't wanna put you on the spot, but as far as the process, we're just looking to, do we want to move forward and accept these, in which case we would need to have the appropriate signatures.
Right, so the way they do it is DocuSign, so I couldn't like print it and have the board sign it tonight. So if the board is comfortable, I initially had the motion for the interim TA. If you're okay with kind of switching and authorizing Jen to be the signatory on behalf of the board, I can forward her those DocuSigns for her to do. One of them is due September 30th, the other is due October 8th, and it essentially just allows the town to participate in those settlements so that we can continue to receive the settlement funds, which then go into a trust fund and are spent specifically on efforts outlined by the state that are towards the opioid epidemic, essentially.
Education, and I think we had reached out to, to have the Board of Health.
Yes, so the Board of Health is actually reviewing it right now. They're
Right.
gonna be having a meeting to provide guidance on some things that they would like to use the money for. But you can use it for educational opportunities, you can use it for getting rid of the sharps that people drop off at the public safety building, things like that, so.
Expired medications.
Yeah, so
things
Lynn
along
had
those
actually
lines.
just gotten an updated list from the state on what you can use it for. The Board of Health is gonna decide what they wanna do, and then it'll be the responsibility of the select board to essentially assign that responsibility to the Board of Health.
Right, but first step is to sign all the documents to be able
Correct.
to
To
receive
get
those
some,
funds.
to get the money, yeah.
So I move to authorize the select board chair, Jen Ledger, to sign the opioid settlement funds agreement on behalf of the town.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Mm-mm.
Alright, roll call, Alex.
Alright.
Women, I.
Matt and I.
Ledger, aye. Thank you. Alright, and last but not least, thank you for your patience. We have a request from the planning board to review and sign a contract for outside engineering firm related to the Arrowhead Way. We have the information on the contract in our packets. It is my understanding that the planning board voted to move forward with this, that the funding was coming out of an account, 53G account, thank you. Do you mind just giving a brief for us in layman's terms of kind of the situation and what the contract is for?
It's basically just for a review of the construction of what is called the Bear Hill 2 subdivision regarding the roadways, infrastructure.
The cost is $1,000, correct?
Yes.
The one thing that stood out to me was in the proposed fee where it does state lump sum fee of $1,000, but presenting to the planning board would be invoiced on a time and expense basis. Do you anticipate any additional expenses beyond the $1,000 to be incurred? And if so, where are those coming from?
They would have to come from the same account.
Do we have?
That's the construction, the construction is paying for that.
Yes.
That's the on deposit funds, right?
I just wanna make sure whatever, I don't know, if we don't know what the additional fees might be, do we have enough funds to cover it from that source?
Go ahead, Tamika, say the answer to that.
No, we do not. There's a current balance of $2,400 in the account. And funding has been sought from the developer but was declined.
Can
So-
you say that again?
Funding was sought from the developer but was declined.
Oh, okay.
Correct, I'm sorry, so the developer was asked to replenish the account and we were told no.
Okay.
But if there's 2,400, this is $1,000 lump sum, and then if the engineer, which I would hope the engineer would come either via Zoom or whatever, present their findings to planning board, that would be the addition, I read it as presenting to the planning board would be invoiced on a time and expense basis. So I think with the Zoom option, the expense side should be
Hourly.
right. It wouldn't be commute and everything. If I don't wanna speak for the engineer or not, but
So if I may, my only other comment to that is that there are going to be additional charges related to that subdivision outside of this. So at some point, that account is going to need to be replenished.
So that's where I was gonna follow up again, is at what point is the developer the one calling the shots versus the town? And I think that that's like, I think that that's a lot of our residents' frustration, is that the developers seem to be calling the shots and then the town just is no and will eat the expenses of everything. And I think that that needs to stop, and so I don't know what that avenue is, whether it's needs to be a legal avenue or just stronger conversations, I don't know, but I think that residents are tired of subsidizing the developer's work.
Is there is it in any of the subdivision agreements or how he's expected to replenish that account?
Yes, there's a clause in our subdivision regulations under the fee schedule that along with the regular fees, I believe there's a notation that we can request additional funds
Okay.
for these accounts.
You just said request.
Correct.
So if they don't pay it, then what happens?
What's the recourse to getting that to happen?
I have no idea.
Does that need to go to legal?
Maybe get a KP.
At minimum, I would say that would be a Delia question and the planner, and if she's unable to find out via her network and everything, then it might be a legal question, because I don't know what that, for this subdivision, I don't know what that account started at, and I don't know what the expenses have been that the town has utilized for it, but this engineer, I watched some of that planning board meeting, and I think I might have seen the edited version, but I think that the residents really do have a point to some of this, and so I think that again, I just wanna reiterate that I don't think that this is a big ask in money or intent at this point.
I just wanna be clear, this study is for the infrastructure and the road. We talk about the lots and the residents' property, it has nothing to do with this town or the planning board.
Right, I
Just
understand.
wanna make clear, because that seems to be a point that is subtle but not being taken very knowledgeable within this town.
But we also hear hand over fist from residents with complaints about the roads that have been publicly accepted not so long ago, that they should be in the state that they're in. And infrastructure beyond the roads. So,
I got a question real quick, if it doesn't interrupt for too long or too much. And it can be through the chair. Just if they go ahead and just approve the use of this mechanism with 53G, does that mean if it just starts a process, doesn't mean anything's official till someone wants to actually bill the account?
I think it's authorizing the signature, it's authorizing this contract to be signed, and the agreement engaged with John Turner Consulting to do the work outlined, which is quoted at $1,000 for the work outlined, and then presenting to the planning board would be invoiced on a time and expense basis in accordance with his rate hours.
That was gonna be my next, I didn't look over the terms and conditions of that contract. Does that specifically call out what, on Ts and Cs on who is ultimately responsible if the planning board doesn't pay it? That's an integral part to a contract.
Within the contract?
Yes, within the contract, there should be some payment terms and conditions in the back of it.
No, cause usually it's at the will of the board or the planning board how it's going to be paid.
No, it would have,
Yeah, Alex knows what I'm talking
it would
about.
definitely have, payment terms.
Bills, billings and payment, fees and expenses.
Invoices are prepared monthly, all charges shall be due
I mean, it would be
payable
with
within
us
30
because we're
days.
signing it, right?
Yeah,
So
that's what I was trying to get at, I wanted to make sure
Shall
that
we do-
ultimately we all know what we're getting into.
Yeah.
That's Alex, all I was trying to do is make sure.
I mean, if there's $2,400 in the account, then we're paying 1,000 out of that. If we have to request more when we deplete the account with, as Tamika mentioned, there's further services that will be required for that fund, then we're gonna have to ask for additional funds. I mean,
If I may, my concern is I guess having a backup funding source, whether that's the planning board authorizing their account as a backup, cause the problem is if we engage this gentleman and then we don't have the money in the account, now we're liable for breach of contract.
It's slippery slope, I'm not, through the chair, I'm not willing to go down that revolving fund. 53G. Do I wanna keep this contract at?
I think it has to.
If we have to do legal action or whatever, then so be it.
Yeah.
I think my concern is just that if we do move forward, it has to be paid and the select board budget doesn't have funding to cover it if it's not out of the 53G account. So that's why I was requesting a funding source to make sure that if you all agreed that this was what needed to be done and he has to be moved forward with.
Just to clarify, so I anticipate that we're gonna be getting some additional charges from Quinn Engineering long before we get the invoice for these services, which means we would be paying Kevin before this, which will deplete the account. And as of right now, the developer has stated in writing he is not going to replenish this account. So I just don't want the town to be put in a position where if when the bill comes, there's nothing left in the 53G. If we don't have an alternate funding source, then we're in breach of contract because we can't pay the bill. That's my only concern.
And for the 53G is the construction and not the revolving fund.
Correct, it's specific to, there's one for each specific subdivision,
Yep.
yes.
I mean, I'm on board with having it done, but if we can't guarantee that there's gonna be funds in that 53G account, which is what was stated as the funding source, I don't know that I'm comfortable.
Yeah, well, and especially if there doesn't seem to be any willingness or impetus to try to replenish the account.
I would want confirmation of designated
Are this, and
appropriate.
sorry, are these roads that are town accepted roads or
No.
so
It's up for street acceptance.
so then
They're on your list for acceptance.
then I think that we use that as leverage for replenishing the account. This is work that needs to be done to give us confidence that these roads that we're presenting to the town are going to not turn into many of the other roads that have been put forward.
Say that.
I just said it.
I agree.
But there's too many alternates in there.
what do you mean, too many alternates?
How do you know what's gonna,
Well, ultimately, planning board makes the recommendation on the roads
on the road?
to the select board, and then
from
the
our
select
engineer.
board decides, and then select board decides with or without your recommendation whether to place the articles. And I was very clear in the spring when Clea came in, and just a couple weeks ago when Clea came in, that just because we're transmitting these to the planning board for review, that doesn't give him any expectation. I don't think that this board's just gonna rubber stamp them because they were done. And all that's doing is providing us as a town to do our due diligence to ensure that the work is satisfactory and not going to cost us more as a town in the long run. And if this needs to be done as deemed so by the planning board and he's not willing to have that done, then that's up for consideration when planning board looks at the streets for acceptance, for recommendation, and select board looks
look at
at the streets for placement.
All I can say is we go by what our engineer, and he takes what Blair turns over from Yankee, and we go from that. Other than that, you know, with the
Right.
wear and tear on the road, what's making it on some of these other subdivisions,
That road's been installed for 7 years,
I know, I know.
and there's been no cross changes or nothing on that road, so. But again, based upon erosion and stuff like that Kevin's found, that was it, if I'm not mistaken, through the chair, that was one of the reasons we asked for the second study, and Kevin even said a second study to verify his results he welcomes.
yeah.
And I think in trying to do the best for our residents, having the information, given the past history, and the current concerns, just based visually and everything, I think it's warranted, and it's $1,000 and some more, but it's not $100,000 that we're saying.
Depending what comes out of that report.
Well, it would, yeah, but
All the more
but-
reason
but-
to
But
do
it
it.
still
I was
wouldn't be
just
on the
gonna
town
say.
to fix it.
But then it's $100,000 that we're not recommending the town accept to then be hit with.
Exactly. Yep. So I just, again, to be clear, from my perspective, I'm in support of this, but I don't have a guaranteed funding source right now.
Yeah, and I'm the same, Jen, with you, like if we don't, this budget year especially, and I really strongly feel that this should be coming from,
Do we know what the outstanding invoices from that you mentioned?
He hasn't put them in yet.
We haven't received them yet, but they average in the hundreds. And especially where this road is going forward for street acceptance, there have been more reviews than there usually would be.
So just to estimate this out, what is the outstanding thought?
I'd say at least $500 to $800.
So we had enough left.
So wouldn't that be
There's also going
enough?
to be, no, because there's also going to be the legal review. If it does get onto the town warrant, we take the legal review from the subdivision accounts, so that will add up as well.
That could be stopped if we don't get, if this study
Yeah.
dies.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So I would think that if we have sufficient money for what's the outstanding work that's already been done, that we're going to be invoiced for, and then this work is $1,000, that's 1,800, you said there's 2,400 in the account? And then plus T&E for the, I mean, we're talking, that's gonna be like $500, so
23.
22, 23, so I mean, it's close.
And then if they want it, if everything's good and they want legal review, then they replenish the account for the legal review.
Right.
And if everything's not good, then they either replenish the account for additional review when issues have been addressed, or it stays a private road. Am I off like,
No.
You're right on, Lee.
I-
You hit the nail on every head there.
So I mean, I think we can approve this based on that funding source, and if it gets to the point where they need to do the legal review, then if that holds it up, then that holds it up.
As long as it's documented appropriately that we pay the engineering fees as they come in, but then this is the next item, that nothing else associated with the legal review or anything gets paid out of that before, or it's at least set aside.
Encumbered
Thank you.
is the term.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify, I believe I quoted our fee schedule incorrectly. You know, I said we can request it. I believe the word that's there is we can require it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. However, you know, I'm still gonna say if, other than not accepting the roads, you know, if the money isn't there, somehow or other, I think it would require a legal action.
well, and I think that that's a stance, personally, I think town in general has been hesitant to push back legally on some of this stuff, and it's cost us a lot more over the long term than holding developers accountable to their contracts. And so, because now they feel that they can just do this, and I think that that's where a lot of the residents that I know and talk to have a lot of frustration.
I'm just pointing out
where
it will go probably.
Yeah, no,
Well, the other thing, just for education, when say the town approves the road, any road, there's a 10% left back of the bond that the planning board holds on to for 1 year, so it's like a 1-year warranty, so it gets through a winter or a summer, and we can see if there's any issues, and then that money can be used to fix anything. I get it, it's only 1 year, but it is something that we hold back as part of the bond process on
And
the
so
road.
maybe we need to be clear with DPW and
They need to be checking
and
stuff.
that they need to follow up with planning, with us and planning board, that, hey, there's issues on this road, and not just patch it or fix it or whatever, but it's, if it's a big, like, any issue, especially within that first year, so
Berms, manholes, anything that's covered underneath the 1-year warranty.
That's separate from the 53G though?
Correct, it's
Okay.
bond.
So there's additional money that's sitting, okay. For that purpose, yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions, or I'll entertain a motion?
So I would move to sign the contract with Turner Consulting as presented at the request of the planning board with the $1,000 fee to be paid from the 53G subdivision account for Bear Hill 2 Estates, and leaving some allocation for the T&E expenses as well.
To be paid based on the terms that
To be paid,
Jen mentioned.
to be paid,
Prior to any legal fees for,
to be paid prior to any additional outstanding work that is like as the
Related to
work,
street
yes,
acceptance.
yes.
thank you.
Does that?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so motion, do we have a second?
Second?
Any other discussion? Alright, I'll call Alex.
Kevin,
Matt's and I.
And Ledger I. Thank you.
I'll have a motion. Make a motion to
Second.
close the meeting.
Aye.
All in favor?
Alex is on if you wanna do his.
Alex.
Alex?
Aye.
All right, we're out. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's the end of our regular agenda. Are there any future agenda requests to?
I mean, I think just, it's not urgent, but just some of the policy stuff, as I don't know what the past couple meetings have been really heavy, and so it's not like an emergent thing, but just if there's ways.
Policy reviews,
Yeah.
just going back to the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
'Cause
we
it-
need to, oh, sorry,
No,
you were
no,
done? Oh,
no, go.
okay. I think we need to, have a full discussion on the, free cash certification and an, understanding of where that came from.
It's my understanding that Donna is working to put some sort of a high level
Something.
report together, and we'll certainly work with her to hopefully attend an upcoming meeting to be able to review all that information with the board, cause I agree.
Jen, I did ask Donna for it, and I'm gonna tell you from the finance committee member standpoint, it needs to be more than high level. I wanna see details as to where this came from. Cause this is a very large amount. It's great, but we need to understand where it comes from.
That's what I said, we need a budget to actuals, so what's the, where are the variances,
Right,
a variance
exactly. Where
report
did
for
it come
budget
from?
actuals.
Not high level,
Yeah.
line by line by line, department by department, so we know where it came from.
So maybe we can look to doing a joint meeting with FinCom and Select Board and ask Donna to do that, just so that we're all hearing the same
Yeah,
information.
I did ask her, I asked for that today of her specifically, and said, I think we need it.
I think Jen asked for that as well.
I asked for essentially a report of budget per actuals and was told that that was not something that she could provide, so I'm still working with Donna to figure out the best way to get the information that we
Dan used to give it to us so that we'd know where it came from.
But no,
So-
I agree, if we can propose a joint meeting so that everybody can participate in the
If I
discussion.
may, I think we were gonna look to try to do a joint meeting on October 13th for the Vadar stuff, so maybe we can add it that night. I know FinCom's meeting this Thursday to talk about whether or not they're available on that night. So if they are, maybe we could add that as a secondary discussion, cause our next meeting, the 29th, is pretty heavy. And one of the things is the public hearing on the community electricity aggregation. We also have a public hearing for a new business in town, so I think with that, then our next meeting would be October 13th, if the board's amenable to that.
Yeah, if FinCom's gonna review that date,
Yeah.
then we can start there.
I was gonna say that, and if that's not amenable, I'm not sure what the joint, if we're doing a joint meeting, I have it here, but if we're doing a joint meeting for the warrant, and I don't know what the
Oh, yeah,
articles
that's
would look
October
like.
23rd.
It's later, but I don't know and I don't know how many articles, you know, if it's like
Yeah.
a ATM meeting or something where it's 30 articles, we don't necessarily wanna do it, but.
It's a pretty good chunk right now.
List is growing.
The list is growing.
Yeah.
But it's certainly an option.
Yeah, or like whether it's a Monday night or a Thursday night, I know FinCom, I think, Karen, you guys are still usually meeting on Thursdays, right?
That's correct.
So, you know, whatever works for, obviously for Donna and for the majority of us and
And I'll have a better idea at the end of this week what the warrant looks like, cause I've been kind of keeping a tally of everything, so once I get everything officially and I'll know how many articles we're looking at,
Yeah.
long before you guys meet.
I think it may be something that calls for us meeting separately if FinCom is meeting on, many Thursdays, not every Thursday, but if there, maybe we could join for a short period to discuss with if she's available on Thursdays or whatever. I'm not sure that us waiting for this conversation a month from now or even at more than that would be October 23rd or whatever the date was. It just seems like a really long time to wait to get these answers. I think these are extremely important when we're going into budgeting, and this, in my opinion, dictates a lot of or has a lot of dependencies on override conversations. So I think that without those answers, we can't in good conscience discuss going into next year, and we're already at the point where we're, we really need to start talking about that. So we really need those answers sooner than later. I don't think we can wait.
Well, we can certainly, we can work with Donna and see if we can coordinate, if she's gonna be coming to an upcoming FinCom meeting, we can certainly put it out to the board if they're amenable for a joint off meeting night. I'll keep the board apprised of what we can do, but I mean, we
We
can
can reach
certainly,
out to Donna and see how quickly she can provide that information.
Yes.
So that we can,
I know she's got a couple
collaborate
days that
everybody.
she's not here this week.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be me. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be 3 days from now, but I just think that a month from now is too late for us.
And I don't disagree, I just am trying to think of
Yeah,
time for everybody.
trying to make it work
I'll see
schedule
what we
wise. I
can,
just
what we can make work, but if we can, again, realizing it's not ideal, hold the 13th as a potential if we can't make anything
Yeah.
else work,
Yep, that's fine.
Alright, but we'll see what we can do to get something jointly in the meantime. Okay. Any other agenda requests? No? Okay. Upcoming meetings, September 29th is a regular meeting, October 13th regular meeting, October 23rd that we just discussed was the joint with FinCom to review the town meeting warrant articles, and then back to regular meeting for October 27th. Is there anything else that needs to come before the board today? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Alex?
Alright.
Wait a minute.
Matt's and I.
Dry. We are adjourned at 8:09.
Ooh.
that's not.